If instead of rebooting movies, retelling them from a different point of view became popular, which movie would you like retold? The game starring Michael Douglas. I want to see it from Consumer Recreation Services point of view. I want to see how they manage all the actors and situations to make sure everything goes the way they want it. Edit. I want to thank everyone for agreeing this movie is great, underrated, and the upvotes. Thank you to you Blogsley for the silver. People brought up Cabin in the Woods. My issue with Cabin in the Woods is those people didn't know beforehand what might or was going to happen. Michael Douglas' character knew about the organization and how Sean Penn's character talked about the experience. Also, it's in the woods. The game was done in San Francisco, so if this movie was done, you can show different parts of San Francisco like the Golden Gate Bridge and different areas of San Fran these actors live in. The Truman Show. Truman grew up in front of the cameras in a fictional town. Michael Douglas' character does neither. More importantly, I want to see the cool ass contingency plans they had in place, but he goes left instead of right, so they have to go with plan F instead of A, B, C, D, or E. I want to see the contingencies and the extras that don't get used. Like 10 minutes centered on Bob, who is dressed like a cop, but then ordered to switch because of some action of the player, so he changes into a clown. Then AHS to change again into a waiters. Then just a rich guy in a suit. All the while in the control room, that looks like NASA's moon mission, chaos ensues, and calm orders are addressed to Bob. Final destination from Death's perspective. I imagine it would just be Skeleton Hand setting up deadly Rube Goldberg machine with some classical music in the back. Rube Goldberg machine. Considering they're death machines, I'll allow it. Groundhog Day, a day in the life of Ned Ryerson. Mean Girls told by the girl who doesn't even go there. This, or Glen Coco. Either way, I'd watch. Glen Coco is iconic. Forrest Gump told from LT Dan's perspective. Could be really good, focusing on his training, then getting sent to Vietnam and being in charge of an idiot. Then the struggles of a soldier returning from war and the way the vet treated him, just for him to reunite with the idiot soldier who saved his life. You got new legs. I ducking no. Jesus, you are dumb as shit, aren't you? I came here to collect my paychecks from the past 4 months. They stopped mailing them to my house. What are you doing with all this shit in the yard anyways? I'm Marine, my Jenny. This is Jenny, that dope addict who never wrote you back while you were at war. Yeah. While we were out there losing life and limb, she was sitting in this country she hates so much, getting high as a bird, screwing and snorting everything in her path. You got a real winner there, don't you, Gump? Me and Jenny are like peas and carrots. You and Jenny are pieces of shit, is what you are. Princess and the Frog. We got Maleficent out of Sleeping Beauty, so where the duck is Dr. Facilier's backstory. He had a debt with literal demons and nobody seems to give a shit. This is such an underrated Disney movie. It gets so easily forgotten. Sir David Attenborough's Jaws. How about Cloverfield from the view of a professional camera crew? This question instantly made me think of Cloverfield, but not for that reason. I remember when it came out, people noticed that there's someone else with a camera in the bridge scene, and it became a popular idea that they could do a sequel from that group's perspective. Yes, I was looking for a comment about that same discussion. I'd love to see at least a series of short films from other people's perspectives during the attack, if we can't get a proper sequel. Also, isn't it weird to think how cameras weren't that prevalent back then? To the point where having someone else record the whole thing was considered unusual and caught our attention. Cloverfield was released in February of 2008. The iPhone had been out for a little over 6 months. At that point, so much has changed since then. A monster attack in New York City, nowadays, would have literally thousands of people live streaming it from their phones. Haha. This is what makes Cobra Kai so damn good. I would think Aliens from Newt's perspective would be pretty substantial. How a girl survived all that and the loss of her family alone on a foreign planet. Edit, and to clarify, as I wasn't expecting this to blow up, lol, thank you all. It would be essentially the story of Newt living on Hadler's Hope. Some background with her and her family, to the point her parents get face hugged. how the aliens slaughtered the colony, how Newt survived in the air ducts, and what she lived through, while ending with Ripley finding her and bringing her back to the Marine Operations Base. It would be set as a claustrophobic horror movie. With a good script, this movie could easily do 300 mil in my opinion. There's a comic from Dark Horse that has done this. It's 2 issues long. Early 90s. Actually good. Aliens Newt's Tale. Edit. Another editor pointed out a mistake in the title. Thanks for the upvotes, people. Well, this isn't my idea or suggestion, because Orson Scott Card already did it, but he wrote Ender's Game a second time from Bean's point of view, and called the story Ender's Shadow. Robin Hood from the Sheriff of Nottingham's perspective. It'd be great to watch a movie about a medieval cop trying to catch a highwayman. Apparently, the Russell Crowe Robin Hood movie was supposed to be this link. However, Ridley Scott rewrote the script. I've seen that dumb movie twice, and I couldn't tell you a single thing about it. So forgettable. Tom Riddle becoming Lord Voldemort. I just think it would be interesting to watch his journey and his story, although maybe not all that interest as it seems. Like he took a 30-year break to do whatever. There was a 17-year break in the Fellowship of the Ring storyline, where Gandalf goes to research the ring, which was glossed over entirely, even without relatively unaging characters. There's no reason not to just have a scene which starts with a 30 years later. Caption. There was a 17-year break in the Fellowship of the Ring storyline, where Gandalf goes to research the ring, which was glossed over entirely. Yeah. I remember the movie not making this very clear. It wasn't until I watched the movies with my wife, who is quite possibly the biggest Lotar fan that has ever existed, that I understood just how many time skips and crunches there were. That made the story flow so much better. The books also have Merry, Pippin and Sam as conspirators, who knew what Frodo was planning to do ahead of time, and helped him make the gradual move, including buying a house in Crick Hollow. Merry is shown as actually being quite smart, and figured out what Frodo was doing over the time he was planning. Whereas in the movie, they bump into Merry and Pippin stealing mushrooms, then make a mad dash for Bree instead. Groundhog Day. From everybody else's perspective on the last day repeat. Just a movie about a small town and some weather guy who shows up at random points in people's day to make their lives better, for no apparent reason. Not a movie, but I would definitely watch Breaking Bad, but from the perspective of Gus Fring. That dude has a crazy story to tell. I like that we get a little of that in Better Call Saul. Wait, I've got it. Breaking Bad, but from the perspective of the lawyer. You're a goddamn genius. From his point of view. The duck this kid poking me for. Avatar: The Last Airbender from the point of view of anyone but M. Night Shyamalan. I would love to see Azula's story. The series did a good job with her character, but expanding on it would be great. That or give us his story of Iroh's life. Let us see him go from generic Fire Nation prince to the wise, tea-loving, Peisho player who guided his nephew, and end with his journey to the spirit world. It would be the most wholesome show. 500 Days of Summer would be really interesting to see Summer's perspective on everything. I once spoiled the movie for a friend. She said she was going to watch it, and I, having already seen it, asked, "Is that the one where they all die in the end?" She got a little upset because I spoiled it. A couple weeks later I saw her again, and she told me she was waiting the whole time for them to die, but no one did. We had a good laugh. You've spoiled the ending for me. Now, I'm going to be watching this for the first time, waiting for them all to live. Aladdin. From Jaffar's perspective. A college theater group did a very R-rated version that is absolutely hilarious, which can be found on YouTube under Twisted, the story of a Grand Vizier. What I would really enjoy is a late 80s early 90s hand animated Aladdin where Jafar is the defender of the Sultan's realm against some nefarious interloper who is bent on stealing the princess heart and worming his way into the royal family, and he has a genie. Duck you, Jafar. I don't like musicals, and still this one was so good I keep bringing it up. Such a well done piece. Funny, dark, and yet somewhat touching. A Lion King prequel from Scar's perspective. Show what really happened before the Mufasa era and see how Mufasa cheated Scar out of the throne. Scar's real name is Taka, which literally means garbage. Ducked up childhood. Scar. Why can't you be more like your brother Mufasa? He's already started his own pride and is running for city council. All you do is sit around and hang out with those vile Hyänists all day. You're a disappointment to this family. Yeah but told from the POV of the kid who was pulled out of a basketball game to be replaced by a dog. There's nowhere in the rule book it says you can pull me out, so a dog can play, either. I want to see a new version, where the team they face in the championship brings in a tiger and forces the dopey rules committee to accept that. Yes, there is an implicit understanding that the players must be human. Or, they just stick to precedent and the tiger destroys everything and everyone. Whatever. I like this idea. Teams continue to one-up each other with lethal animals until the sport of basketball morphs into a gladiatorial death match for trained killer beasts. Boom, real life Pokemon is born. Horror movies from the Monster Ghost POV. Basically Beetlejuice. Also Patrick Swayze in Ghost. What if there was no plot to murder him, and his friend didn't betray him, but Sam thinks they did, because ghosts go ducking crazy and get violent. By the end of the movie, that dude was just trying to protect Molly from this psycho ghost and got a broken window dropped on him by this evil chain rattling duck. I'd watch that. I want to see a superhero movie from the perspective of an insurance adjuster. It could be a comedy, but just like every day he wakes up and he's enjoying his morning coffee and a bowl of oatmeal. Then he flips open the morning paper and sees Iron Man went full Michael Bay again, or the Avengers were back in town. Long sigh. Stands up. Chair squeaks on floor. Clicks pen. Straps iPad to hip. Tightens camera strap. He's the real superhero. There was a show called Powerless Link that was pretty similar to that concept. About an agency that deal with the aftermath of the collateral damage from superhero villain fights. It wasn't the best show, but I thought it was a cool idea. Unfortunately, it was cancelled after a season. I still think it's an interesting POV, and I'd like to see someone else take a shot at it. I loved this aspect of The Boys that touched on this aspect of the ducking soups. An alien invasion movie told strictly from the aliens' perspective, complete with their confusion about why the humans are responding the way they are. It would make sense to us, but would take the narrative form of mystery for them. It could be a clever way to illustrate cultural misunderstanding. An example could be let's show them we are friendly by revealing all our weapons to demonstrate we aren't hiding anything, which the humans would take as a threat. I always liked that about the Borg on Star Trek. They genuinely thought they were helping the people they were conquering. A villain is scarier when it thinks it's doing the right thing. That's how the Minbari War starts on Babylon 5. The Minbari, a race of aliens, approach the human fleet with all of their weapons raised and engaged, so the humans preemptively fire on them. Turns out to the Minbari, raising all your weapons is a show of respect. Like, we think you are a worthy enough opponent that we should come prepared. To not raise your weapons would be a huge sign of disrespect. With all of their weapons raised and engaged, gun ports open, but weapons not powered on or aimed. Actually, not that the humans could tell that the weapons weren't active, since the Minbari's sensors doing a casual scan of the human ships overloaded the humans' own sensors, which was misconstrued as intentional jamming and a prelude to attack. Forrest Gump from Jenny's perspective. That would be a dark and ducked up movie. Who would play her father? And it'd be even worse running into Forrest every few years and he's happy and loving. Or that random time he comes into her car to punch that boyfriend of hers. Or that other time he punches a different boyfriend and completely ruins a Black Panther party. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory from Willy Wonka's point of view. I want to hear his wicked thoughts. Wasn't the Johnny Depp one basically his point of view? That's what I thought. Funnily enough, it would made more sense if the two movies had their names swapped. Shawshank Redemption told from the warden's point of view. I don't know, that may be too dark of a story. I'd like to think that the last thing that went through his head, other than that bullet, was how the heck Andy Dufresne never got the best of him. I want a movie and a book called Neville Longbottom and the Sword of Gryffindor about life in the school while the big three were wandering around the woods. Nice try, Disney. Who knows? Maybe some good ideas will get done rather than the usual garbage. I want to see a Batman movie from a goon's point of view. Like, He wakes up and eats some cereal before meeting up with the crew, and just by chance he hung out with Joe the Goon that day instead of Bob. Now he is just gooning around at night when all of a sudden he gets his ass kicked in by ducking Batman. He can't believe his bad luck, and just like that, he was gone. Coolest ducked up thing to ever happen to him. The Princess Bride from Humperdinck Spoof. Star Wars as a goofy stormtrooper buddy cop comedy. Men in Black in point of view of K instantly changes everything. A disabled and disfigured war hero, long past his prime, hunts down a cell of terrorists, capturing one of their leaders, but not before she's able to send a message call his former mentor out of retirement. In the process of retrieving the message, a family of locals is caught in the crossfire, which said former mentor uses to his advantage to radicalize the adopted son of the family. The boy manages to destroy a critical military base, giving the terrorists legitimacy, and builds up a name for himself over the years. As the boy's exploits become more and more legendary, our hero comes upon a shocking revelation: the boy is his own son, hidden away by his former mentor. He tries and fails to convince his son to join him, but the son rejects him, forcing him to choose between his honor and his family. Star Wars would be ducking wild. A Batman movie from Alfred's point of view. There goes Master Wayne in his furry suit off to beat up a clown for the millionth time for closure instead of going to therapy. RoboCop: The Clarence Bodica Story. Edit: I'm 100% serious. A Breaking Bad type story about a regular man who got driven to violence and a life of crime in order to make it in old Detroit. It would make a good movie. Rambo: First Blood is about the struggle of an honest sheriff trying to stop the sociopath from creating chaos and death in his town. Joker, but from the perspective of that kid whose parents were killed in the end of the movie. Raiders of the Lost Ark. The Germans explain why this ineffectual American tried to interfere with their efforts to unleash the power of God. Just explaining why the villain did what the villain did without the vague bullshit of to get power or to become all powerful. Like Black Panther gave a legit motivation to Killmonger. That this resource-rich secret African nation exists even back in the day of the Atlantic slave trade, and they never lifted a finger to defend their fellow Africans. Wakanda is pretty messed up. No one is a villain from their own perspective. Why does the villain think they are the good guys? Everyone thinks they're the hero of their own story. Some dude who carved another dude's eye out with a spoon. Any rom-com told from the perspective of the hard-working businessman whose fiancée left him for the ruggedly handsome guy from her hometown. Scrubs, but from Cox's Puff. The Life of Brian from the perspective of Jesus. Harry Potter as told from the viewpoint of a random Hufflepuff of the same age. My first year at Hogwarts, Harry Potter and his idiot friends broke every rule, and so the headmaster gave them all the points to make us last in the house cup. My second year at Hogwarts, Harry Potter starts talking to snakes and all of a sudden a bigger snake tried to murder my friends. My third year at Hogwarts, Dumbledore made us sleep on the floor like live bait because someone was trying to kill Harry Potter. My fourth year at Hogwarts, Harry Potter finishes a fun contest over the corpse of like the coolest Hufflepuff ever, and so they gave him a big bag of ducking money. My fifth year at Hogwarts, Harry Potter gets everyone tortured by this Umbridge psychopath because he wouldn't shut up and formed an illegal rebellion, all while I have to take my most important exam ever. My sixth year at Hogwarts, Harry Potter is found with another goddamn dead body, and the one night it was so hot I slept in the bath I had to wake up and fight more people trying to kill Harry Potter. My seventh year at Hogwarts, when I still had to wake up in the middle of the night to fight the Dark Lord and his army, all of whom of course showed up to kill Harry Potter, despite the fact he wasn't even here this year. Duck this school. Duck Harry Potter. I'm bewitching a rich muggle and moving to Tahiti. Dark Knight, but just follow the Joker at all times. Star Wars only told from Vader's viewpoint. The Fifth Element from Ruby Rod's perspective. The Sandlet from the cool kid's view.